When you go to a car dealership, you're going to give the salesperson your name, your driver's license, your insurance. You're going to give them a lot of information. But there's one thing I don't want you to tell them. We'll talk about it today on Women Buying Cars. You're listening to Women Buying Cars, and I'm your host, Meredith Reynolds. I'm a former teacher turned used car dealer, and I'm here to teach and empower you to walk into a car dealership with confidence and walk out with the car that's right for you. Hi, I'm Meredith. Thanks for joining me here on Women Buying Cars. I own Reynolds Automotive with my husband in the Kansas City suburb of Merriam. So if you or someone you know is in the area, I would love to help you find a great car. Today we're going to talk about the one thing I do not want you to tell the salesperson when you are shopping for a car. That one thing is, I just want my monthly payment to be under X amount. Don't tell them what you want your monthly payment to be. The reason is because they will find a way to get you at that payment, even if it is not in your best interest. Okay, what do I mean by that? If you've decided that you can afford $400 a month and you get a car for $400 a month, how is that not in your best interest? It is great for you to know what you can afford. I'm glad that you have in your mind how much you can afford every month. That is a good thing. You're not going in blind. I'm sure you've done some figuring to come to that number. But if you only focus on monthly payment, you may be ignoring everything that goes into that payment. You may not be paying as much attention to interest rate, the total interest you're going to pay over the life of the loan, the length of the loan, what you're getting on your trade if you have one. So that needs to be something you are keeping to yourself. What I want you to talk to the salesperson about is the out-the-door price. Out the door means what you will be paying the dealership after they have added on any fees, taxes, any extras that they're going to add. You need to know what that final price is. And that's the part they need to pay attention to and negotiate. Because you listen to this podcast, I know that you will do your homework before you go to the dealership. You will go in knowing what you're interested in and what a reasonable price for that car is. You will educate yourself. You will not look at Kelley Blue Book. I have talked about this several times on my podcasts. You will not use Kelley Blue Book to tell you how much a car is worth because, at least in Kansas City, they're way off. Okay, you will use something like Edmonds.com, Edmunds, Edmonds, or CarGurus. Dealers pay to be on CarGurus, so not everyone's going to be on there, but CarGurus will tell you if this is a great deal on this car, a good deal. They'll tell you how much the car is overpriced or underpriced. So I would recommend trying to find the car on CarGurus if you can, and also using Edmonds. So you know what a reasonable price is for this car, and that's what you're going to negotiate with the people at the car dealership. So before you go, you should have in mind how much total car you can afford. And you've already used an online monthly payment calculator. Just Google, how much is my monthly payment on a $15,000 car for 60 months with a 8% interest rate? Okay, you're going to have to estimate that, of course, because you don't know what your interest rate is going to be unless someone has pulled your credit and told you. And even then, it's going to vary by car. But you probably have an idea your interest rate is going to be really high or really decent because you probably know about what your credit's going to be. So once you have negotiated the price down from, say, $15,000 to $14,600, then you need to find out everything that they are going to try to tack on. Okay. And the big franchise dealers have a tendency to pull out a whole bunch of stuff at this point. You love this car. You're emotionally invested. You've been spending time here. The salesperson has shown you all around it, shown you all the great features. You talked about how wonderful it is. So at this point, they're going to want to add on more fees that you may or may not actually have to pay. So get everything itemized. Again, you're asking for the out the door price. If you don't like the out the door price, then you can either negotiate with them, ask them what they can take off, or you can walk. If you have a trade-in, I want you to discuss the trade-in totally separate from the price of the car. Okay? You've negotiated the price of the car. Now you can negotiate what they're going to give you on the trade. That needs to be two separate things. If they're trying to do it all at once, again, you may not be fully aware of what you're getting. It's too easy for the salesperson or the person in finance to say, okay, you like this car, you've got a trade, we're going to get you to $350 a month. You need to know exactly what they're giving you for the trade. Okay. And again, do some research up front. Know that trade-in value is not the same as retail value, but have an idea of what you think you should be able to get for your trade. Just do some research on 2015 Honda CR-V trade-in value with 135,000 miles. If you don't like what they're trying to give you for your trade, just tell them, never mind, I'll go sell it at CarMax. And you can drive right over there and they'll probably make you an offer. But don't be afraid to speak up and say, how much are you offering me on my trade? I really would like to see you give me this much instead. If it's all lumped into your deal, you may not be getting the best deal you can. You may be saying, hey, I'm at my payment that I wanted to be at. Yeah, but if you had done a better job negotiating the trade, you might be below that payment if you paid better attention. So don't let them just lump everything all in. You need to see everything itemized. Now it is time for our favorite segment, Cars I Love. The car I love today is the Buick Envista. The Buick Envista is a compact crossover. It looks like a small SUV, but by crossover, it's more of a hatchback than an SUV. I think it looks really good. I love a crossover, and I love a car that is not huge. It seats up to 5, but you're going to be a lot more comfortable with 4. You could get 3 kids across the back. We just sold one that was 2 years old, and it went for a bit over $23,000, which these days is a great price for a 2-year-old car with very low miles in very good condition. Because it's not huge, you're going to get upper 20s in the city and lower 30s on the highway. So great gas mileage. I love the sport touring package on the Envista. The one we just sold was pretty much exactly what I would have wanted. It was white, and because it was a sport touring package, it had black wheels and black on the back of your mirrors and a sportier looking grille. I definitely recommend that trim level, and it's not the most expensive one. It's the mid trim level. The Envista just came out in 2024. So no matter which one you get, it's going to have all the great safety features: lane keep assist, crash detection warning, adaptive cruise, pedestrian braking. If someone is walking in front of you and you don't realize it, the car is going to brake for you. It's got the highest tech when it comes to safety because this car is not very old. Because it's not huge, it's going to be so fun to drive and so easy to park, which is a great thing. But you still are going to have a lot of space in that hatchback for groceries or a kid's sports bag or whatever. So if you have a small family or you don't have children and you want to look cool, in a really great car that gets good gas mileage, that's not super expensive, you should definitely consider the Buick Envista. Now let's get back to the show. Another reason you don't want to tell them your payment is because, again, they'll get you there, but it might be with a 6 or 7 year loan. And you don't want a 6 or 7 year loan unless you absolutely have to for some reason. You want the shortest loan you can possibly afford. Every month beyond that, you're just paying more and more and more in interest. If you need a payment of $400 a month, know how many months you want to do that for. Like I said, you want it to be the least amount possible. So $400 if you do a 5-year loan, which is the most common loan that we do, versus a 7-year loan, 84 months, 60 months versus 84 months, that's almost $10,000 more in interest. In other words, that car is probably too expensive for you. You've gotten talked into something that is too expensive for you, and they've shown you that monthly payment to make you happy, but you've got to look at your money overall. How much are you spending on this car once all the interest has been paid and the loan is done? That is how much you're actually spending on the car. It's not that initial negotiated price. So I want you to make sure they are showing you the amount of interest you will pay over the life of the loan. And if that number makes you sick to your stomach, you need to look at a cheaper car. So again, I hope you can see how easy it would be to go in with that monthly payment in your mind, tell the salesperson, and then get talked into something that really is not in your best interest. Too much interest, not enough on your trade, and one more thing, possibly too high of an interest rate. Depending on where you go, they may be able to actually raise the interest rate in order to get more money out of you. Okay? We don't finance cars ourselves. At Reynolds Automotive, we work with credit unions and banks. And so we submit your credit application and they determine the interest rate. I cannot add on to that interest rate. I can't look at the computer and say, well, they've offered 6.5%, but I'm going to charge 7% so that I can keep that profit. I can't do that. Franchise dealers, the big, beautiful, new looking franchise dealers with the gorgeous glass display in front, they can add on to the interest rate and keep the profit. Buy here, pay here. They're setting the terms. They can raise the interest rate and keep the difference. So again, you might have gotten out of there at 6.5% with a $375 payment, but they know you're willing to go up to 4, so they might as well play with the interest rate a little bit, raise it up, get you to 4, so hey, you're happy. And then they're making more off of you. So I hope you see now why you should not go in and disclose what you want as your monthly payment. You might end up with a loan that's way too long and you've paid so many more $1,000s than you should have in interest. That you may end up with an interest rate that is higher than what you deserve based on your credit score. And again, you're paying way too much in interest. And you might not get what you really wanted on your trade. And you may get talked into a car that's more expensive than what you really wanted. Maybe that car that you really wanted would have put you at even below 400. But because you said I'm willing to go up to 400, then the salesperson chose to lead you in a different direction to a more expensive car. You could avoid all of this if you go get a pre-approval from your own bank for a set amount of money, and then you don't have to deal with the dealership at all when it comes to financing. You can say, I have my own financing, thank you very much. People do that with us. They say, I've already got a loan with my bank, so I know what I'm pre-approved for. We don't need to talk about financing. When people do that, I always say, would you like to check with one of our banks just to see if we can beat their rate? And sometimes they say, no, thank you. And sometimes they say, well, yeah, I guess we can try it. Sometimes we can beat their rate. Sometimes we can't. So that is a tactic you can use, because if the dealership knows that you're getting 6.8% from your bank, then they know they have to do even better to get your financing business. And so you might end up with a better deal that way. Like I said, at our place, we can't control it. We just have to see, but we can at least try and see. So to recap, go in knowing what you can afford, not just how much per month, but how much you're willing to pay overall by the time the loan's done, what you really want to have paid for this car. Focus on the out the door price. Ask up front what any add-ons will be. My advice is to not agree to a loan that's over 5 years and to go shorter if you can. Just ask them, what would my payment be at 48 months? What would my payment be at 60 months? And then you figure out if that's going to work for you or not. You want the loan to be as short as possible so that you are paying the least amount of interest. Also ask them if there's any penalty for early payoff. Negotiate your trade separately so that you know what you're getting for that trade and it's not just getting lumped in and glossed over. If you're financing with them, ask to see how much total interest you would be paying over the life of the loan. You can avoid all of this if you get your own financing in advance from your own bank. And finally, my advice is don't go to dealers that play all these games. Try to find a reputable mom and pop dealership with really great ratings on Google, like Reynolds Automotive in Kansas City. We are very proud of the fact that we do not play games. We do not hide things from people. We're very transparent. We'd make more money if we did play these games, but we don't, because our reputation means way too much to us and repeat customers mean way too much to us. So come see me if you can. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this with someone who maybe is overwhelmed by the car buying process. Help out someone else who might need this information. Thanks for listening and happy driving.